And don't even get me started. I can't actually open a bank account. There's no pay transparency here. Like, it's a fact. Like, if you stay 1 hour past the amount of time you're supposed to stay on the land, you get fined.
Oh.
A lot of companies hold on to your passport. They're not allowed to, but they hold on to your passport. If you're earning in dollars and you're moving here, you're going to cry.
If you knew then what you know now, would you still have moved to Dubai?
Yes.
Ooh, that was a quick answer. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Reni. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. As you can tell, I have a very special guest on the channel. This is Zeeba. And Zeeba is going to be talking to us about Dubai, moving to Dubai and living in Dubai, how it is. We're going to talk about her love life. We're going to talk about how much she gets paid in Dubai and why she actually moved to Dubai. So thank you, Zeeba, for being on my channel.
I'm just proud that I'm here. Oh. It's nice to be associated with,
Oh my goodness. Thank you. I'm excited for you to be here. And you all asked for this video. I asked you all what you wanted to see, and this is exactly what you wanted to see while I was in Dubai. And you didn't want to see the sights and everything. You wanted to hear from someone who moved here. So I'm really excited to have Zeeba here. Make sure that you like this video so that we know that you like this kind of content. And every time I travel, I'll make sure to do more of this content. Okay, so let's get into the video. I have a lot of questions, so I'll be reading off my phone throughout the video and asking Zeeba all of these questions. Hi everyone. So before we start the interview, I just wanted to emphasize that none of this is immigration advice. Make sure you do your research before you immigrate or plan to immigrate to Dubai. I also want to emphasize that this is simply Zeeba's experience living in Dubai. This is simply her experience. So I want you to make sure that you understand that. This is not indicative of what your experience will be if you do choose to move to Dubai. I did meet someone who made $12,000 a month working in tech in Dubai. So of course everyone's experience is different. This is simply Zeeba's, and we want to thank Zeeba a lot for coming on my channel and coming and sharing this, because it's not easy to share your story with the world. So thank you so much, Zeeba. Make sure you leave her a like on this video and even leave a comment down below to thank Zeeba for sharing her story. I also want to say I forgot to ask her the question about her love life, but yeah, sorry, I forgot to ask, but you can ask in the comments if you're still interested in learning about how it is to date as a Black woman in Dubai. Okay, now let's get into the video. Yes, and do you want to maybe tell us about you a little before we start the video?
Okay, not as, fancy as Reni.
Oh my God.
But like she said, I'm Zeeba. My not original, like all my names will be much, much longer. So Zeeba is what I go by. And close friends call me Zeebs. So if you hear both. I actually go by a hospitality consultant, or is that the phrase? I'm a hospitality consultant, but I'm here in Dubai. I'm actually going to school and working in the Dubai region. So I think that's all I want to share for now, and then we'll spill a little.
Do you host a podcast?
Okay, Reni. Yes, I host a podcast. Everywhere you listen to anything, literally anything, it's called Hospitality Tips with Zeeba.
I'll leave it here. I'll leave it right here.
Somewhere here. I like the thing that people do.
And I'll leave it in the description box as well, so that you can watch or listen to her podcast.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get into it. The first question, and I guess this will be the main question, why did you move to Dubai? Of all places in the world, why did you move to Dubai?
Why not?
Good question.
It's sunny all year round, and there's no snow. For those of you in Canada, I do not envy you. But the major reason I moved to Dubai is in COVID, I was struggling a lot, as most people would. I was living in a one-bedroom basement apartment, and it was winter.
In Toronto? Okay.
Well, in Brampton, but still Toronto.
Yeah.
So it was just, I don't know, it was dreadful. I was planning to go back to school. I was planning to do all the other stuff, but because things weren't opening, it wasn't looking like it was going to end. I just wanted a way out. Plus, things weren't going very great. So I'm like, you know what? Let's look at all the options out there. And then actually it's my mom who suggested, because she talked with my dad and he's like, maybe go to Dubai. It's closer to Nigeria. We can visit you. And I hadn't been home for like 8 years prior to. So she was like, yeah, go to Dubai. And I started looking into the options. And then I found out, as an international student, I figured studying somewhere is like one of the easiest ways to get into anywhere. So I'm like, you know what, let's just resume school and just do hospitality. And I've been working in hospitality for now 9 years.
Okay.
About. So throughout my time in Canada, I was working in a different sector in hospitality. So that just segued into why not Dubai? And it's like, there's never snow here. So
I know. I feel like that's a great reason to move somewhere, just because there's no snow. Like, I would love to do the same. So
yeah, that's why Dubai.
Good choice. So for some background, you are Nigerian.
Yes.
You came to Canada as an international student, and now you're living in Dubai as an expat, I guess. Yes. And
that's
student.
What they call it,
yeah. Okay, very cool. So we're going to divide the questions into 3 categories. The first one is career, second one is housing, and third is social life / love life. So if you want to skip to any of those specific parts, you can use the chapters feature, which is at the bottom, and just skip to the part of the video, because I think this will be kind of a long video. Yeah. You guys had a lot of questions for her, so I'm going to try and answer all of them. But if you have more, leave them down below, and maybe she can answer them in the comment section. Yeah,
maybe.
Maybe. We'll see. Okay. First question is, what do you do for work, and how did you even get the job? So I know you said hospitality, but like, what is hospitality?
That's a very broad question, but any interaction that has to do with 2 people is hospitality. Anywhere that there's customer service, I think that's like the most general term I could use to describe it. Anything that has customer service has hospitality in it. And there's hospitality in tech, there's hospitality in engineering, because you also need engineers for hospitality businesses as well as tech for hospitality businesses. It goes both ways. So yeah, that pretty much is hospitality. Just inviting someone to your home, feeding them, giving them somewhere to stay, something to eat. That's actually how hospitality started. So yeah, that is hospitality.
And as a hospitality consultant, what do you actually do?
My focus really, or the focus I'm hoping to go into now that I'm studying, I'm discovering more of my strengths. So I think that's like one of the greatest things that I could have done for myself is go into food and beverage pre-opening. So if you wanted to open a bar, a restaurant, or any establishment that has a function of giving food or beverages, I'll be able to help you properly place your business in a way that, you know, you can make the good goods and also give quality service to your guests or staff even. So yeah, that's me.
That's a great industry. I don't know. When I hear hospitality, I don't know. My first thought is just hotel. I don't. So
I mean, that's actually where it started. So like somebody needed a place to stay, you'd give them a bed, but then you'd also need to feed them. So that's why there's also food and there's beverages. And then you probably need to entertain them, smile with them. That's the part of entertainment. So that's kind of like hospitality in a whole.
Okay, so how did you get your job? Did you come to Dubai like with a job, or did you just no?
I didn't come to Dubai with a job. I came to Dubai with the plan to evolve my learning for hospitality, and that's how I got into the academy. But the reason I actually chose the specific academy, it's Emirates Academy of Hospitality Management. It's a mouthful. But it's owned by Jumeirah. Jumeirah owns the famous Jumeirah Beach Hotel and also Burj Al Arab. I know it's the famous hotel that's in everyone's like picture. Yeah. I'm sure there'll be a picture of something
on my vlog.
Yeah. So there's the Burj Al Arab. They own a lot of like the major hotels that started hospitality in Dubai. And I found out it's actually owned by the government. It's owned by Dubai Holdings. So that's why they also have a huge affiliation with Jumeirah. And Jumeirah owns the academy that I go to. So with that, I'm great at developing relationships, especially business kinds. So I got to talk to the chefs. I got to talk to everybody who had a contact somewhere. The school also gives you an opportunity to like visit the hotels. And because you're coming from an affiliation part of things, you're able to quickly meet people who make decisions. So that way I was able to meet the point person that I would possibly be working with. And then it all went to the roof from there.
Cool.
I'm just a great person and they chose me.
I can tell. She's an amazing person. Okay, that's very cool. So you didn't come with a job. You were like, I'm gonna find a job once I get here. So I guess, did you come on like a study permit, or what is the way?
It kind of is a study permit, but then it comes with a residency for the length of time that you're studying, right? But then, to be honest, getting a job in Dubai, it's not hard, but then there are a lot of people in Dubai, so there's competition to get the job that you want. That's why it's harder to get a job, not like there aren't any jobs. And I mean, if you walk across the street, they're probably hiring.
Yeah.
Like realistically, they are probably hiring because COVID ruined a lot of things for a lot of people. So yeah.
Okay. So someone said, how easy was it for you to move here? Like if I just wanted to come and pack up and move to Dubai, how easy would it be for the average person to move here? Or does it depend on your passport as well?
I would say that also is an influence in how quickly you could move, because you have to consider where you're going to stay. The ticket, first of all, coming from Canada, it's like a very long trip, so
expensive.
Exactly. Yeah. So you have to think about the cost of getting you here, and then what you have to do when you get here. So I think for me, I don't get too attached to places because I like to experience new things in different spaces, and especially if it makes sense for me. So moving to Dubai wasn't like, you know, I don't want to go, I don't want to pack. I spent like 4 years packing because, you know, it's Dubai. But then I packed it pretty quickly, like 2-3 days. I was like, let's go.
Oh, wow.
But that was because the circumstances were different.
Cool.
But I think for an average person, it'll just, again, depend on your passport, really, what you want to do when you get here. Because if you don't already have a job that will sponsor you, someone has to sponsor you coming to Dubai. So if you're getting a visa, you're probably getting it from Emirates or one of the airlines that does it for you. How did you get yours? I don't know.
Canadians don't need a visa.
Oh, I'm sorry. The big people. But, you know, if it's like anybody that needed a visa, for example, to stay here long term, you'd have to get a visa using one of the many avenues that you can actually get a visa. And then,
Okay.
It's not bad. You can get a visa to Dubai in 2 weeks, even 1 week. So.
It seems like they are very forward thinking here, and they want people to come here regardless. Yeah. So I don't think it's like an extremely difficult place to come to.
No, not really. The security is very, very serious though. Like if you stay 1 hour past the amount of time you're supposed to stay on the land, you get fined.
Oh. Okay.
So like if I was supposed to stay, like if my visa was done today at 12:01, I'm fined an amount for being here.
Okay. Yeah, they're forward thinking, but they're strict.
Yes.
Extremely strict.
It's a very strict system. And if you're working here, let's say for example, you came we've not gone to the part of work yet, right?
No.
Okay. I'll answer that when we get there.
Well, I was gonna ask, do you need a work permit to move here? Which I think you answered.
Yeah, technically you do, because your job is going to sponsor you and give you the visa for the length of time that your contract is open. So if it's indefinite, you're here indefinitely. Oh. And if you're here for 3 years on your contract, your residence visa will say 3 years.
Okay, so there's no limit to the length of the work visa that.
I think it depends. Like again, some of the laws are very subjective to the operation. Okay. So in a hotel, it'll probably be like maybe 3 years, and then you have to renew every 3 years. It doesn't mean that, you know.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and then the hotel does it for you because they're the ones sponsoring your visas, and they remind you and it's not like, you know, Canadian government where it's like, let's just wait. Whenever you're ready, we don't need to remind you or anything.
Oh, and then you're over by a day, and they're like, you know, you violated your terms of your visa. We're not renewing it.
Exactly. Yeah. So here it's like there's a certain amount of time that they need to do the processing, and then they get it done really quickly.
So I guess that would be my next question. If I don't have my job anymore, then
You're going home.
Ooh,
You're going home.
So does that mean you're tied to a company, basically? Or is it like, say you're working here and you want to work at another establishment?
They'll cancel your visa here and then transfer it to the next company. Okay. So on your passport or it literally is going to be on your passport. It comes with the name of the person that you're employed with, or the business that you're employed with, or whoever is sponsoring your visa, because they will then take on the fine if you don't pay the fine, or if you had previous fines from your workplace, that it just gets shifted to the next person because now you're their responsibility. Yeah,
I feel like that puts a lot of like power in the hands of the employer.
Unfortunately, people abuse this. Yeah. I've actually, when I was working, I heard of a lot of companies, because then you want to change your job. A lot of companies hold on to your passport. They're not allowed to, but they hold on to your passport until like you pay the fine or something. Because if you leave beforehand, you have to refund the company certain onboarding costs.
Oh, God.
Because they pay for your flight, they pay for your ticket to come to the region if you're from anywhere in the world, let's say. Europe, Asia, wherever you are, as long as they're offering you a job, they're paying for your flight to get here. But then you don't get charged for flights and a certain aspect of the onboarding cost if you stay over a year.
Okay.
Right, so that's kind of the guarantee. You're here for a year or you're paying us back.
They have a lot of power. Okay, next question would be, this is the big question that a lot of people ask. How is the salary here compared to Canada? And people are saying, please share your salary if you are comfortable sharing.
I'll tell you two things. The salary depends on where you're coming from. One, if you're earning in dollars and you're moving here, you're going to cry because I was... No, it's true because it seems it's easier to spend if you convert dollars here. But then if you're earning here, it's like chicken change. Like even chickens would probably eat better than you because speaking of, when I was working events in a weekend, I'd probably do $300 to $500
in Canada.
Yeah, in Canada, right? But here, that's a 1 month salary.
Okay,
like for the entry level, and that's $1,500. It's like the kind of minimum ish, especially for students or like intern positions. But it'll also depend on the kind of job. And I know mostly for hospitality, so I don't know about other industries specifically, but I know that it could go anywhere from like 1,500 dirhams, which is, again,
nothing.
Just like $100-$200
a month.
USD, but then that'd be like...
Per month?
Yeah.
Wait, let's do the calculation live.
Yeah, just say the minimum
dirhams.
1,500.
Wow.
How much is that?
$500 Canadian.
Okay.
$520 Canadian.
Wow, that's actually really good right now.
That's the rate right now as of March 5th, but March 5th.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like you're getting $500 a month.
Okay.
It's not taxed, at least. That's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
And in fairness, the hotels or major companies have accommodation for their staff and feeding. So it kind of just, all you're spending your money on is yourself.
Okay. So there's pros and cons. Okay, but would this be the typical salary for everyone, like $1,500 a month minimum? Or would it be... It depends on your industry, I'm guessing. So say someone comes here to work at a tech company. What are we looking at?
That might be a little different. The thing is, I know for a fact that a lot of entry level, that it's from 1,500 and you can go up. They do have salary bandwidths that they can give, and that's where the second thing comes in. It depends on your passport. If you're from Europe, if you're from the US, if you're from anywhere with like higher earning, they'll probably hit you on the higher end of the bandwidth because they know that the value that you're looking for is not really in the money specifically. It's the environment, why you're moving and things like that. And then you have the accommodation already, and there's normally buses that take you from the accommodation to work and back on a system. So you're not really losing as much, but then in the accommodation, it's sometimes shared, so it's not the best situation. So, that's that.
Okay. So the next question was, is it true that you get paid based on the passport that you have? And I think you just explained, yes.
I mean, at least I speak solely for the hospitality industry. I've only been here a year, and this is what I know based on my experience and based on the knowledge I've gathered. So I think it's very recent anyway. So...
So Canadian passport, getting more. Nigerian passport, getting
even if you have the same experience, there's like, they have the authority because there's no pay transparency here. Like it's a fact.
Ooh.
You know, in Canada, you had to put the amount if you're putting on Indeed, but they only show you your pay when you either accept the letter of intent saying, I'm interested, and this is what it looks like. Like after the interview, they are able to send you that.
So ain't no negotiating your salary? Is that a thing? Or
it depends on your job. If you're coming for like a waitress, front office, guest relations executive, you may not be able to negotiate as much. But if you're like assistant manager, director of human resources, maybe.
People are probably watching my videos like, Reni, you're saying that we can negotiate our salaries, but we actually cannot.
Not in this region, not to my knowledge. If it changes, I'll definitely let her know, and then she can let you guys know.
Okay, the next question that we got was, how do taxes work for you? I think you also kind of explained that, but there's no income tax here.
There's no income tax, except you're like a citizen of another country, like, or a PR, and then you're entitled or like asked to in the policy to claim taxes on foreign earnings, then you have to. That depends on where you're at in the world. But if you're just here, no strings attached to anyone else, you can just, you don't have to pay a tax.
And that's a really nice perk, I think.
Yeah.
That's probably why a lot of people do come here, because the way that they take our money in Canada, I know it's going to something good, but like here, the roads are perfect. You know, in Canada, they're like, oh, your taxes are going to the roads.
And Eglinton is still in construction.
Oh my God.
Is it still under construction?
Yes. The day before I left, I was like, what is this? What is wrong with this place? Eglinton West has been under construction my whole life. Literally.
Honestly, because before I came to, no worries, before I went to Canada, apparently it was in construction. I left in construction, and it's like
my whole life. I swear, my whole life. The last question that we had for this career section was, what sites did you use for your job search? So I guess you got yours through your school, right?
Yeah, but then there's Indeed, there's Hosco, which is it's a local. I don't know if it's strictly Dubai or UAE region, but then Hosco is a site. Walk into any business and offer your resume. Some HR managers don't like it, especially if it's like busy operations period.
Of course, yeah.
But you know, there's always something, especially with the smaller businesses. You will always find a job opening somewhere in the region. But Indeed and Hosco are the top two. And there's this app called Dubizzle.
Nice name.
You can trade anything, but they also have classified, so you can also like find a job if it's posted on there.
So it's like Kijiji, I guess?
Yeah, it's kind of like Kijiji, but a more, I want to say, tush version.
Okay, so I'll leave those on the screen or in the description box as well. Okay, now we're getting on to housing. So the first question was, what is the cost of living like? People wanted to know rent, groceries, transportation. And oh, really? Well, yeah, I could tell as a tourist, but like compared to the salary that you're receiving, what would you say?
Full disclaimer, because as a student, you cannot actually just go out and say, I want to work. Because of the situation of the sponsorships, your sponsor has to issue a no objection certificate before you can go somewhere to do something.
Okay.
So if you wanted to go get a job, your sponsor has to know. They have to write a letter saying, oh yeah, that's okay, you can go get a job. If you wanted to open a bank account, don't even get me started. I can't actually open a bank account. I'll tell you about the story after.
Oh my gosh.
So you had to get a no objection certificate or letter saying, yeah, you can go ahead and open a bank account or stuff like that. Because they like to be, anything that happens is on them. So I can understand the precautions. And to get a credit card or anything like that, they had to get a salary certificate to know, can you actually pay back on this card and things like that. So it's quite fair. And it also tells the bandwidth of, you know, credit balance that you can actually have. So because of that, and there was no part-time structure. I think I mentioned this to you before we started recording. There was no part-time structure. So to do that as a student, it's kind of like, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. So my dad has had to be a good dad.
We love him.
So
I hope he watches this.
I'll send it to them. They'll watch. So my parents have actually had to fund most of my first year here, aside from like the little very chinchily savings that I had coming here to, you know, support me. So it always had to just be from my pocket. Anything was just from, because that was the first shock, I would say, is earning power here is not as high to earn or to get a 1-bedroom apartment without being under someone else's like care.
Is this because you're a student, would you say?
I would say it's because I'm a student. However, I chose to pay for a full year because we were able to.
For your housing?
Yes, for the housing, because you have the option to do full year, you know, month to month and things like that. You can actually do month to month. It also depends on what the prices for the houses at the moment, and because there's Expo, everything is all the way up, so I cannot wait for everyone to leave. I say that nicely.
We're going to Expo tomorrow.
And then Ramadan as well, because of that period, everything comes down. So housing and a lot of things are like dependent on the season, and then it can go high.
So come during Ramadan, and if you want to move here,
though.
oh yeah. So come then if you want to move here.
Yeah, the houses are relatively cheap. Oh, by the way, cheap is such like it's a curse word in hospitality because we use affordable.
Oh, affordable. Yes.
Houses are affordable.
So tell me, how much would a nice one bedroom here cost? I guess it depends on the area of Dubai you're in, but say in this area.
This area right now, you're looking at 40 to 50K AED.
Wait.
And that's close to 10.
Wait.
Well, I don't know the current
a month? A year?
A year.
Okay, I was a little stressed.
A year. And then the thing is, with the rent and like cars and things, you can negotiate. Those things you can negotiate.
Okay.
If you go to Dera Market, you can negotiate. So if you're paying a larger sum, you can obviously cut it down. This house was like 43K a year. I got it down to 38.
Okay.
Because I paid one.
For context, I'll leave this on the screen, but for context, 38,000 is 13,000 Canadian for the year.
Yeah.
Okay. But then if you're making 5K a month, 5K times 12 is about 60K. So you make 60K a year, but then your house is 38K per year. So it's a lot. It's a huge expense.
It is.
It's like
and that's not including your
food.
And oh my God, sometimes there's no stove, there's no fridge. They could choose to like give you an empty house for the same price that I just mentioned, 43K. You'll have to buy your own fridge, you have to buy your own washing machine, you have to buy your own stove.
What? For a rental?
My dear, welcome to Dubai.
Oh.
So some newer apartment buildings have everything in it. You might just have to pay for like the AC, the gas, and like, water and light, and that's it. I know, and sometimes there's no microwave. I had to buy mine.
Okay, interesting. This is very good to know because I wouldn't expect that.
Yeah, and more like any unit that has the fridge, the washing machine, and everything else, it's usually on the higher bandwidth of the pricing for rent. But then also, it just depends on the area. I live in a relatively nice, quiet area.
She does. It's very nice. What about if you lived in like Dera, which is like the old Dubai? How much would things cost? An apartment
you can still say about 30K, but then it'll be like 23K, 30K, depending on. Well, that's one bedrooms. If you're looking at studios, which are very nice here, by the way, very similar setup. It's just that you're just sharing the one space with your kitchen and your bathroom. That's it. But it's about 23 to 30.
Okay, so it's still
decent.
Yeah.
It's just it also depends on your taste. I have very nice
expensive taste. We love it.
Affordable taste.
Okay, I'm trying to convert everything to Canadian. Okay, so say it's 2,000 a month, 2,000 for the month. That's about $693 Canadian. Yeah. So it's not cheap by any means. And I guess it would depend 100% on the job that you have. If you can afford these or not. Yeah, because I'm guessing some people have to live with multiple roommates to afford.
A lot of people do that.
Yeah, okay. And another question, I don't know if you want to answer this, but do you live alone or do you live with other people?
I do live alone. I like living by myself.
Yeah.
I have lived with people in the past. Some worked, some didn't work.
Okay, now we're on social life.
Okay, cool.
Are you ready for the social aspects? We want to know. You are a Black woman in Dubai. How has your experience been as a Black woman in Dubai? Is there racism that you have faced, discrimination?
It's safe for Black women in Dubai. It's safe for women in general because I think, again, Reni will second this. You don't see cops everywhere, but then when you do see cops, there's something wrong.
Yeah,
like gravely wrong. They take female security very important as well. But again, just like anywhere in the world, there are places that are generally just unsafe because of the kind of business that goes around. So just avoid it altogether. Just save yourself. Racism, I think the only subliminally racist situation well, it wasn't even, it's out there. They wear it on the sleeve, unfortunately, because it's like backed up. Hopefully this video is not flagged for some reason. But I mentioned I can't get a bank account, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if you go sit down with a Nigerian passport, thank you, Hush Puppy and Friends,
that guy.
you can't actually open a thing without an NOC. So like coming from such a liberal country as Canada, you can go in with like your study permit or your study anything and you can open a bank account.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I've not had a bank account for like the whole time I was
So what do you
here.
do? How do you get paid?
How do I get paid? Well, actually by cash.
Okay.
Some places pay you in cash, but there are certain companies that just have direct deposits. But because you're working with the company, they can open a bank account for you. Because they're able to then vouch to say she's getting paid this amount, or this is her salary certificate, or she's earning.
Wow.
So that's it.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot.
It still takes some time. Like while I was working, it still took a lot of countries, mainly African countries, a longer time to get their bank accounts approved because central bank has to approve it, not the bank itself. Like they can open the account, but they cannot actively use the account until central bank actually says, you know what? You're from Zimbabwe? Let's see if you're working with here, you're working with there. And again, you can name call it Zimbabwe, Kenya, Nigeria. A lot of people actually were working still while I was working. And I'm done with my first term of work. I still don't have my bank account details. It was open, but they're still waiting for central bank to approve.
But if I came as a Canadian,
you'll very likely just go like, hi, how are you? Nice, thank you. Okay, let's open your account today.
So that is some discrimination.
For me, I went there and I sat down. No one told me that they didn't even have student accounts or anything. I sat down and they're like, oh, I'd like to open an account. And then I put my things. I was like, sorry, I can't help you. We're not allowed to. I'm like, can you explain why? It's like, no, I don't know. It just, I can't help you. Next, I'm like, okay. And then I went around the entire mall to find someone who would actually explain to me why. Because I went to every single bank I could see. And then they go, oh, try HSBC. And then I go. And then
that can be disheartening, though.
Oh, that day, I was so offended. I was so upset. I went home and I just ate.
Especially if you come from if you're in Canada, you're like, I was able to open a bank account in 2 seconds.
And that's like a multicultural place. And here they claim to be very multicultural, which they are. There's like over 160 countries or nationalities represented here, but then you don't see that very much in the laws that accept the
so it's like, come to our country,
but then we still have some things that you can and cannot do. I mean, you're welcome, but maybe don't go there. It's just certain things.
Interesting. And
interesting
when you like walk around, do people ever like look
they stare?
I noticed it. Like people are like just looking at you like,
You know, for the main part, I think it's just the kind of culture that stare at you. You know that it's just the fact that you're either different and you're just black. Like there's no nicer way to say it. And unfortunately, it's just a thing. Like you cannot even say stop staring. You cannot say that's inappropriate. It's a whole bunch of people. And you cannot just go, hey, everyone gather around. Can you please stop staring at women when they walk past?
I stare back. I don't care. I'm like,
I try to stare back, but some of them are so creepy.
Yeah, I know. And they will stare until they don't even, like, you know when, like in Canada, if someone stares at you, then once you stare back, they're going to be like, oh, shoot. Here it's like...
They just hold their hand at their waist.
You want to keep staring?
It's a contest, you know? And I'm relatively voluptuous of a woman. So sometimes I see like... And it's I mean, I guess it's not their fault because they don't get to experience a lot of Africans. And then if they see us, it's like, oh, your hair is this, or your face is this, or this is that. And then the ladies, the Emirati ladies, some of them, they're like out of like wonder. They're like, oh my God, what did you do to your hair? How'd you look? In that context, I don't mind because I may be the first pretty black woman you've ever encountered, and I take that, as a prideful moment. I take that as a prideful moment.
Yes. Okay.
They just stare.
So overall, how would you say your experience as a black woman has been? Good?
But it's been been good. It's been good.
Yeah.
It's just the little things that just make it hard to think long term staying in Dubai. And that's it.
I think, we face that. I feel like Black people everywhere in the world, we kind of deal with this, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. But at least this is a multicultural place. It's not like it's a monolithic or homogenous place. So it's not like you're going to be the only Black person here. Okay, what was the biggest culture shock for you coming to Dubai?
I think I kind of prepared myself a lot to come here, but I think it was just, it's not necessarily like a culture thing, but it was just the bank account situation. That was like
that's pretty shocking.
That was the biggest shock that I received being here, because everything else was like very chill, very good, very welcoming, and I already moved from Nigeria to Canada, so not much of a shock. I'm not gonna get shocked like twice. So and it's both multicultural like societies, so there's not that much of a drastic difference. So
okay, and I guess we should also say that you moved from, that you've been to Dubai before you moved here for the first time. So you kind of knew what to expect when you got here.
As a resident, not really, but then as like just an environment,
because my culture, when I came here, I was like, oh, I didn't expect it to be so multicultural. That was my first thing. I was like, oh, it's kind of like Toronto, like, So, okay, as a resident, I'm sure it's different experience. Okay. What do you miss about Canada, and what don't you miss about Canada? I think I know what you do not miss, the snow. But what do you miss about Canada?
I miss my friends, and I miss my church. Like, honestly, it's just, the community is just so nice, especially having lived there for like, 8-something years? I don't even count at this point. I just want to live there for a long time. So I miss my friends. And of course, the time difference doesn't make it any better, because it's like I'm awake, but everyone's asleep. I just want to chat someone up, but it's like, let's wait till like midnight when I'm half asleep and someone's like bright awake. But it's and then also like the fun moments. Like, we used to hang out a lot, go out a lot. So like here, I'm just like school, work, house. That's it.
Does it get lonely here, would you say?
I'm used to being alone, but not lonely in the sense that I could just entertain myself. I like my own space, so I'm not really like, there's nobody here. And it's not bad. And then church, most definitely, because when I first moved here, a lot of the churches had closed.
COVID.
And then church was on Friday, and I wasn't kind of used to
church on Friday?
No, before it was like a Sunday to Thursday system. Now it's a Monday to Friday work week. They switched to match the rest of the world. So it would be like, why am I going to church on Friday?
Oh, interesting. And how is church here? Are they like very multicultural? Are there African churches here?
There are. It's just a few places.
Another question that we have is sexism in Dubai as bad as people make it seem? This person says that one of their friends was written up for dressing inappropriately. I don't know if that has to do with sexism or more like modesty, but I would ask you the question. How is like, have you faced any sexism here? And how's modesty here as well? Like, do you have to dress modestly?
Just follow the rules. You're coming
basically.
You're coming to a society that has its own rules, so doing anything against that you'll get written up for sure. Because if you're not supposed to, let's say, dress provocatively or like in swimsuits when you're not supposed to, like going to a bank, for example, or anywhere that just exposes you or exposes its citizens to like, something they're not supposed to see, then you're gonna get a fine.
And I think that's traveling 101. Like, you're going to someone else's country, respect the rules of the country.
They're not like, they don't say it low key. It's a very loud thing. So there should be some expectation that you should dress modestly. I love the abayas. Every single time now, I'm like just relaxing and lounging in them.
I'm like, I need a few abayas because they're so comfortable.
I know. They're so comfortable.
Another question that we had is it hard building community here? And the person followed up by saying, because a lot of people are coming for a short period of time and leaving, is it hard for you to build community with them here?
I'd say yes. Instinctively, people choose their own people. Like, instinctively, it's like, it's just a thing. Like Black people gravitate towards Black people. The Indians gravitate towards themselves because they can, you know, speak the same language or have the same values and upbringing and stuff. So that sort of makes it hard in any place like work, school, or just anywhere to really like infiltrate. But then if you are a tourist and you see other tourists, it's like you bond because you're exactly. So it is hard. If they're not also on the same like timeline as you, let's say they're finishing their contract and you're starting yours, and then you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna miss you, and then you never hear from them until the next time that you see they have a baby, maybe, I don't know. So it is hard to build community, I think, because again, my values differ greatly because of my religion. I'm Christian, and then, you know, there's some things I don't want to be spending my time doing every single day or weekend, even if I can. And also I'm on a financial diet, so that also limits the kind of community I can develop here, because again, Dubai is an expensive place, regardless of wherever you're earning your money. You're like, you come here to spend money, but I live here and I want to save money. So we have to meet in the middle.
So what is the goal? Are you planning on last question or second last question? Are you planning, what is the goal of being in Dubai? Do you want to stay here long term? Is that the plan? Do you want to get the experience of working like at this doing the amazing things in Dubai and then take it to another country, maybe transform the tourism industry in Canada, in Nigeria, because we need it? Like, what is the goal of being here?
The primary goal, you already kind of mentioned, it was just to gather knowledge and gain like experience in a different area, because hospitality in Dubai is different from hospitality anywhere else in the world. And they have one of the largest populations of like 5-star properties or 5-star anything, really. So it's known for its luxurious service and all that. I can go on and on about it. But the plan is to really take this experience and just pour it out somewhere else. One of my big dreams, and I would say the most challenging goal I probably would have, was growing up, I always wanted to have a resort in Nigeria, because we have the land, we're able to get the labor, and then it's not as strict as Canada, where you have a lot of municipality stuff and like you have to be a structure
zoning.
So I think it is possible. I'm working hard to kind of like get that up there. It's out here now, so y'all are probably going to come for me like 5 to 10 years. Like,
and I want to make a vlog at this resort, okay?
Don't worry. I'm going to like ship everyone from all the properties here back. I was like, oh yeah, come. It's like the new thing.
And if we want to learn more about hospitality, we can listen to your podcast again.
Yeah, you can also listen to my podcast. And shameless plug, please, guys. I am actually trying to figure out what to share on the podcast, because I have a lot of things that I'm learning and a lot of beneficial things for both businesses and individuals. So if there's a specific topic that you'd like me to talk about, please put it in the comments, and then I'll just stalk her page for like the whole of this video, and we'll see.
Please comment down below.
Okay, but that's pretty much it. I don't think I'll actually live here for a very long time, because again, you don't get to be a citizen of this place.
Yeah, that's a problem.
You just keep renewing your visa. And to get like a 10-year visa, you need to invest up to $1 million, invest from $1 million dirhams up to get that. Or be exceptional in some way that the royal family recognizes you and is able to give you that honorary citizenship or honorary anything. So, and if any of my children come, it's like they're still going to have the same limitations as I do. It's just sort of different. So
Okay, the last question. If you knew then what you know now, would you still have moved to Dubai?
Yes.
Ooh, that was a quick answer.
I would still, because my goal is not like dependent on the things that I face, really. It's really more about what I want to get out of the environment. So I would still move. I just would make better plans for certain things, like maybe save up 6 God knows how many more months again. So I'm not like crying to my daddy. Like, oh, my daddy, there's no, I had to buy groceries. It's kind of annoying to, when you've been independent and then for every single penny now you have to revert to your parents. It's kind of sad. I still do part-time jobs anyway. Like now the new part-time system allows you to be paid hourly, weekly, monthly, whatever the agreement is between you and your employer, and in any currency too. It's just that it's the same money that you're earning, just in a different currency. You might cry more if it's like
when you
converted. Yeah. So I'd say if you're earning here, stick to the dirhams, except like you're starting in negotiations in the dollars, then that's a different standpoint, right? So
well,
that's pretty much it.
Thank you for all this insight. This is a long video, but I think it's really valuable. And I hope some people maybe want to move to Dubai. And
maybe hook me up. I'll be happy to settle you in.
I will leave Zeeba's information in the description box, her Instagram, if you want.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Anything really. Okay. Instagram,
podcast,
LinkedIn.
Okay. Connect with her, especially if you're in the hospitality industry. Maybe you want to move to Dubai to learn about hospitality. Please leave or message Zeeba and she will answer your questions.
Of course.
Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Zeeba, for being on the channel.
Thank you for having me. This is really nice.
And we'll see you in the next video. Bye.